Well, everyone, welcome. And we're going to start out with a meditation. The theme today is honoring fear as an ally. And let's get ourselves a little grounded so we can deepen the conversation afterwards. So take a moment to just arrive here fully in yourself. Maybe close your eyes or soft gaze. And just notice the simplicity of just sitting. Nothing is needed, just noticing I'm here. Maybe a straight spine. Perhaps you want to pull your chin in a little, feel that stretch in the back of your spine and level your head. And notice your proximity to the ground, to the earth. How connected, how rooted do I feel to the earth? Am I floating a little bit, or do I really feel the solidness? Feeling my feet on the ground, my base, which is my lower belly and my pelvis, my lower dantian. And let's tune into our breathing, noticing how we're being breathed. And if you extend your out breath just a little bit longer than your in breath, it helps to drop deeper into the body. It brings more mindfulness, which is what we're doing here, is bringing our awareness to our inner body and our external world. So just do a scan of your body and notice any movement, any sensation. Also noticing any place where it may be tight, where there's tension, particularly chronic tension, maybe in your neck or shoulders or back, or feet. Chronic tension being tension that's familiar, old, often a sign of unintegrated past. So we bring our awareness to those places that there might be, that we might be tensing and numbing. It's not a tension, it's a tensing and a numbing, which takes a lot of energy, uses our capacity to feel and connect. So what we're doing here is raising the resolution of our inner awareness to start with, our interior. So really look for the more subtle sensations as you explore your body. Where are the parts I can feel? Where are the parts that are difficult to feel? How spacious do I feel in my body? Do I feel open or contracted? Or where am I between those two? So we're always interested in creating space. Space is the foundation of creativity, manifestation, innovation, insight, presence. And within that space, there's movement. So we're exploring movement and space, energy and stillness. And then within that container of the body, there are emotions. Emotions are movement. And we can discern different kinds of movement: joy, compassion, love, fear, anger, sadness, grief, shame. So just tune in and see what are the emotions that are present right now, in this moment. And perhaps you can't feel any. That's okay. That's information, that's data. So it takes discernment to feel the movement of emotions. And for this meditation, particularly tune in and see, is there fear in my body? How does it manifest in my body? Maybe think of something that scares you, that you're afraid of, that you're worried about, anxious about. And see if you can feel where that resides in the body. Maybe in the lungs, the heart, the gut. Chinese say in the kidneys. So just particularly bringing our attention to that. And notice if there's any story attached to that fear. And don't try to think about it too much, more relax into it, open, and see if you can greet and meet the fear in the body. And then allowing that just to be, not doing anything with it, just saying, yes, there's fear. And noticing the state of mind that you're in, the thoughts. Is the mind busy? Now concerned about fear or anxiety coming up? Or can you just tap into that eternal stillness, that larger place that can hold it all? Remembering to breathe, noticing the breath, extending the out breath. And noticing that the body doesn't actually stop at the skin. You can feel the electromagnetic field around your body. Notice how far out you can feel from that. And how safe do you feel when you feel into the room, out into the house, into the world, into life? What's your level of safety? Safe being a 10, totally safe. Not so safe being a 1. Where in that scale would you say you were as you meet the world, as you meet life? And then let's just take a few deep breaths and soften, slowing down, opening. And as you're ready, just softly open your eyes and come back. Just notice who's here. Take a moment to look at who's here as you're opening. Okay, welcome back. Yeah. So the traditional way of looking at fear is as something that I need to get rid of, I need to eliminate, I need to overpower, I need to be more courageous. And today's class is really an invitation to, instead of trying to get rid of it, deepen our relation to it, our relationship with it, to move into a deeper grounding, healing, and recognizing fear as a spiritual growth, a function of spiritual growth. Um, so, um, when we look at fear, there's my personal fear, and mostly we just attune to the personal fear. But within us is also the ancestral fear and the collective fear. And right now, particularly in the United States, there's an enormous amount of fear in the collective. It's hard to discern my fear from the collective fear because the collective fear, I am the collective, I am the ancestral, and I am the individual. So the best way to work with fear is in community, in relationship, to be able to meet it with presence, with co-regulation. And in community, we can transform it by being able to share it, to process it, to transform it through integration, through feeling it is integration. Um, um, and for the most part, we keep it private. We keep it, it's like my fear, and I want to get rid of it. It's my fear, and I want to get rid of it. But it's a part of you. You know, it's like your liver. You have a liver. Do you want to get rid of your liver? No, you don't want to get rid of your liver any more than, we want to get rid of the fear. So instead of trying to escape or suppress fear, we want to invite it into our awareness, to bring presence, to allow it to become a source of clarity and a catalyst for growth, for spiritual growth, for awakening. Um, when you look at the history of fear, fear has been a motivator as an evolutionary product of our growth and our becoming. In times when there were saber-toothed tigers and monoliths and warring tribes, and still warring tribes, but fear became a way to heighten our awareness and motivate ourselves to move into a particular direction towards safety. So, but that's an old paradigm. Even in, we motivate ourselves even in work. I'm afraid if I don't get this done, so I'm going to work really hard and try to get it, get over it, get beyond it. I want to be more courageous. But again, fear and anxiety aren't ours. They're inherited manifestation of individual, collective, cultural, social uh, past that we carry. And so we to meet fear is not to get beyond the fear, to get to the better place, which is what we always do. Oh, I'm scared, so I want to get rid of that, and I want to get to the ideal place. We've talked about this before, trying to get to the ideal place. But what there is to do is bring more and more presence to fear, so we can move beyond the instinctual flight, fight, freeze, fawn of the sympathetic nervous system. So the important thing of dealing with fear is that it's not like something to deal with alone. The healing of fear comes from co-regulation in community. This is why I have circles. This is the whole point of circles, is that when I can be afraid in the face of that fear and be witnessed in it, that presence allows it to integrate and allows me to evolve. And fear begins to be shifted from um, a danger or something to get rid of, into like an evolutionary signpost. Like, I'm going to grow. The more I can face my fear, the more I can be with it, the more I can detoxify myself and the culture, the world. So culture impacts us all the time, but we forget that we also impact culture. We impact ancestors. We impact our family. The more that we do our shadow work, our inner work, that is perhaps the only thing there is to do today. You know, we try to figure out, what am I going to do about Trump? What am I going to do about finances? What am I going to do? All of these things that we're like concerned about. Well, you can't do anything. But what you can do is you can work with the fear from that frozenness into a more fluid reality. An opportunity to engage consciously with it is what creates fluidity, movement. So this is how we gain ancestral, individual, collective fluidity. We begin to expand our capacity to hold these things, and not so much hold these things, but meet them with presence. So that's a huge aspect of it. So what was I going to say here? I want to look at my notes a second. Um, yeah, yeah. I think I've said enough. I want to open it to questions. I think you get the point that fear is not an obstacle. It's something that heightens our awareness and says, "Be aware, be here." It's not a flaw. It's not something to get rid of or overcome. It's an evolutionary intelligence. So I think I'll leave it there and just open it so I can have some coffee like Marley, and and hear what's coming up for you and what questions come up. It's not for process work really, but more questions about, yeah, but what about this, and like that. Anybody? Yeah, Marilee.
Um, Yeah, so I agree that fear is helpful. And I think you said it's a motivator to move us towards safety.
Hmm.
And then I thought you said that that's an old thing. Like that doesn't, as to suggest it doesn't apply anymore. Like, could you clarify
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
I'm not
yeah. No,
sure I
that's a good
understood you
question.
correctly.
Yeah. So what I was saying, from an evolutionary perspective, fear has been a motivator. It's always been motivating us. But we need a new paradigm, really. We need to move into a place where fear is a an evolutionary growth and movement, and that comes from allowing ourselves to integrate and be with the fear rather than use the fear to motivate myself. So in other words, when fear is there, it protects, it awakens, and it guides us to what's important. So that part is still the same. But in terms of how we meet it, to embrace it and to honor the depth of it, it gives us the gifts of intuition, insight, focus, and kind of a readiness to meet life as it is and allow it to move through me rather than life happening to me. I can respond because fear is an intelligence that's telling me that something needs to be paid attention to. Okay, so um, it asks the question, what's needed right now in this moment? So when I feel fear, often I want to push it away. I get really busy. I go unconscious. I have sex or I drink or I do addictive things, all of that because I don't want to feel it. Or, like you said, in the past, it's been, oh, that's going to motivate me to action. But that paradigm doesn't work because what's happening in the world is not like right here now. It's an existential threat, the fear right now, like nuclear annihilation and fascism and all these things that are making themselves present. We can't do anything out there until we do what's needed in here, and that is to meet and embrace and open to fear, because fear blocks curiosity, it blocks intuition, it blocks inquiry, and it keeps us clinging to our identity. We've learned to protect ourselves through having an ego, a narrative, a story. Okay. Fear allows us to go beyond the story to have a greater capacity. In other words, a bigger self really is what's possible. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Marilee?
Well, mostly. And then that last part, when you said fear allows us to go beyond ourself and to a bigger, like it sounds like accepting or facing the fear, being with the fear. That's the
Absolutely.
part that allows us.
Exactly. It allows for integration. So, you know how I talk about space, that we need more space, that space is like the paper that the book of life is written on. Space allows us to meet life. So uh, when I can feel that, then those things that happened in the past that we're carrying and they create fear and anxiety. So let's say I was hurt somewhere in the past and I'm protecting my heart. I'll never let, what happened to me as a child happen again. We're carrying that. But really what we need to do is to feel that fear from when I was a child that shut my heart down, that shut me down. So now I'm opening my fear. And when I do it in community, that's why community is so important in dealing with fear, because once I'm seen, I can say, I'm really afraid that I'm not enough, that I can't do this, that I'm overwhelmed, that I'm not going to be able to survive, and we say that in community and we're witnessed. That gives us what we didn't get as a child, was felt seen, heard, held, and protected in a way that I could grow to my fullest capacity. So fear is an opportunity to increase my capacity for life, and it creates more space because the energy that's shoving it down is costing me chi dollars all the time. Those dollars are going, they're paying the electric bill. So when I free myself up, I have way more creativity, insight, innovation, capacity that gets freed up. That's why I say it's an evolutionary act. But if I'm numb, if I'm disconnected, if I'm anxious, if I'm overthinking, if I'm shut down, if I'm an emotional flatline, in other words, I'm dead in my emotions, which many of us have flatlined our emotions, then I can't meet life. I can't align with the soul, with the truth of who I am, of my essence. Because fear blocks inquiry and it keeps us clinging to this narrative, this story, this identity, which is learned from the past. And we keep trying to meet these challenges in front of us with fear blocking us and unintegrated trauma blocking us. And we're running from our own sense of essence, our soul. The light of our soul is not able to shine through the shadow of fear unexpressed. Fear is not a problem. It's fear unexpressed, fear unfelt, fear unshared. That's what leaves us in this place of aftertime, this collection of unintegrated things from the past that we keep filing in our future and living into them. That make more sense, Marilee? Yeah, yeah. Any other questions or comments? Again, we're going to shut the camera off when we do process work, but I want to make sure that before we do that, it's clear what I'm saying. This is why in most of you have heard me talk about the difference between feelings and emotions. So, um, emotions are event driven, they come up in the body, they're a language of relating. Feelings are cognitive interpretations of the mind. So they work together, but in order to really integrate, I have to feel the emotions in my body. I can't think out of this. So it's not a cognitive act. Emotional awareness is the capacity to connect with myself and with others. It allows me to expand the cup of my body. My body literally gets bigger and I can hold more life. That's the thing that we do in the workshops of feeling myself, feeling you, feeling me, and the space between us. Well, I can only feel you to the circumference of my capacity to feel myself. And when I can feel myself, I can feel more of you. And I can feel you feeling me, so I don't have to just talk straight at you and try to get my message across. I know where you are because I'm feeling myself feeling you, and I know you're with me, or I know you're not with me, that you're distancing or you're absent. But these are all, the teachings of the relational intimacy workshop, which some of you have done, and the circles. This is the work of the circles. So yeah. So Anne, you have a question? I see you
It's
looking.
not really a question. It's just I'm seeing like how I've inherited fear from like my grandmother, my mother, like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And when we just try to heal fear by ourselves without including ancestors, without including culture, uh, without doing it again, healing is a collective act. This is why I created circles. We don't heal in a vacuum. We just the same things keep going around and around. It's like a hamster on a wheel, you know, until you learn that wow, there's this whole playground called people, and I can relate to them, and I can connect with them, and I can have joy with them, and I can play, I can have fun, and I can be curious and open more, and that's when we come alive. So
Michael.
yeah.
So I can see Anne's fear, and I can see my mother's fear. And as a child, my mother's fear would be like, "Oh, Dad, it's noontime or 1 o'clock. She's preparing dinner or working on, and she's afraid about how my father come home drunk." As a child, I couldn't like, well, it's not happening now. He didn't come home bad. He comes home drunk. He's happy. How you doing? Whatever. And then as a child, couldn't do about that.
Mhm.
And then when Anne has her fear going on, I'm like, I have no, I go back to being, why are you being that way? I says, what happened? I froze. What do you mean you froze? You know, and it's hard to get be that.
So let me offer you another picture of this, Ray.
Thank you.
So whether it's Anne's fear or your mother's fear or Donald Trump's fear, when you're connected, it's connecting with your fear. That's what we miss. The reason we miss is because when we've had trauma, the first thing that happens is we think we're a separate self. We think that we're a rugged individual or romantic individual, but we're separate. That is why, again, community is the key. Collective is the key to this. Because I can't know what I can't or what doesn't already resonate in me. So it may not be the exact thing that happened, but that fear that you're feeling of Anne's, for instance, of your partner's fear, is touching into your fear. That's what's the beauty of relationship, is that if I actually get curious when Anne's feeling fear and I go, how does that touch me? What happens in that fear in me? What does this remind me of from my past that happened before? And that then creates more space to be with my own fear. You can use her fear to have more capacity to be with your own fear. But if you make it about her or your mother and your father, all of that, you're not touching into the nervous system that is already connected. The interbeing, as Thich Nhat said, the intra, as Dan Siegel wrote a wonderful book, intra being, that we're not just with each other, we are each other. And it's an open system. It's not a closed system. My relating with you, when I'm really relating with you, is an open system. I'm able to feel you. You're able to feel me. And we don't even have a lot to talk about. Do I have to say, are you scared? No. I can say, wow, I feel a lot of fear right now, and then explore it and get curious. That's what this work is getting curious and open and like get a sense of wonder about what is this thing called fear? Why is Michael saying it's an ally? Because it's a teacher, it's an ally. It allows us to grow in an evolutionary sense, which the human race right now needs to grow faster. Fear and anxiety and stress are so prevalent in ourselves and in the field, the world, that it's creating illness, mental illness. 60 to 90% of all illness is stress related, which comes from unexperienced past. So I think I'm going to cut the teaching off here so we can do some personal work. So I want to turn the camera off here and the recording. So thank you, those of you who listened. I hope you'll join one of our circles and share the book, Traumatized, a Love Story. Bye for now.